Good morning, friends, and welcome back to Random Hearts. Today we are going to do a tour in the garden. For those of you that don't know, we live in Wyoming and we have a Zone 4B garden. We did take a tour of our garden about 2 weeks ago now, and a lot has changed in the last 2 weeks. In fact, I probably could have done a garden tour last week because that's how rapidly everything's changing. We had a very wet and cool June. And suddenly the first week of July, we have had some very hot temperatures, almost 95 yesterday. So things are starting to perk up pretty quickly. In fact, some things have already died back, and I do need to do some cleanup in the yard. But we're going to take a tour, and I'll show you some of those things. So let's go ahead and walk around the yard. We're going to begin right here. This is right off of our shed. This bed right here in the garden is pretty shaded. This tree right here does quite a lot to shade this bed. And of course it's early morning, and so the fence is doing quite a lot of shading right now as well. This bed is doing all right. We do have some issues in the bed. The beets are not doing great. If you'll look over here, they're not doing a whole lot. Carrots are doing well. That would be these guys right here. You'll see I still have quite a bit of weeding I need to do. I pull elm tree seeds pretty much every single day. But if you look back on video from last year, we are about a week behind schedule, actually a week ahead of schedule of filming last year. Last year we filmed on the 5th of July. Today is the 12th of July, and my cabbage is nowhere near where it was last year. Last year I was harvesting cabbage and very large heads by this time. So we are pretty far behind with our produce this year, and I'm attributing that to our very, very cool temperatures, lots and lots of rain, and very cloudy. We have not had a lot of sun. Lettuce is looking great back here. This is that fusion lettuce, and we're getting close to harvesting that one. Not ready yet. I do have other lettuce in the yard that we've been eating on. Kale we've been eating quite a bit of, but yeah, these beets, they are a sad attempt at beets. I'm hoping these warmer temperatures will help a little, but we have just started warming up in the last month. We're going to move on to this bed right here. This is our perennial bed. We have strawberries in here and chives. I do need to come in and take off the seed heads from our chives, but I really enjoyed the blossoms on those. We've got a few strawberries that are starting to come in. Strawberries are a little bit behind schedule as well this year. But you'll see I do have some pretty large strawberries in here. We're getting pretty good sized ones. They just need to ripen up. Tomatoes, I do have a few coming on here. Got some right here on this one. Got a few back here on this one. These plants, if you remember last month, were looking pretty rough, but they are coming out of it. I think the cooler temperatures were just messing with a lot of things. Everything in this bed looks great though, and it is progressing. The bed right here, we have got radishes right here, and I am going to harvest a few today. You'll see I've got some holes already. That is because I have already harvested those. We have been eating on them. But I've got a few that are ready, and yeah, I pick out elm seeds every single day. These are our peas back here on this trellis. Not producing anything yet, but they are definitely doing their climbing, and they're getting quite large. So we'll just keep letting those do what they're supposed to do. This is our Waldman's dark green lettuce, and this is a head lettuce, and these are huge heads. This is one head right here, and we have eaten on this. I've taken out 2 of them already. But I'm about to give one to a friend, so I'll take that tonight. We've got our bush beans here, another set of bush beans here, and our spinach in the middle here. Now, I do need to start taking some of this spinach because I think some of it's not doing quite so well with our heat. So I might start harvesting some of that. On the bed behind us here, we've got green onions that are starting to do really, really well. They have really liked a little more heat. We've got tomatoes up here, and you'll see I've got some forming up. I believe this is the New Girl. Yes, this is the New Girl tomato here. This is the Mountain Magic back here. I don't think I have any tomatoes forming yet, but I definitely have flowers on everything. peppers in here. These are the green peppers, not doing anything yet. More tomatoes here. These are our big beef tomatoes. And again, they've got flowers, but I don't think anything has formed in actual fruit yet. We got more bush beans right here, all doing well. And I think I had 100% germination on this variety. And then this is a jalapeno. Again, not warm enough for anything to really have done much yet. Back here we've got our garlic. I believe at the end of this month I'm going to be harvesting this. I did take off most of the scapes already. I've got a couple still left, but I am just waiting for those bottom couple of leaves to start dying back, and then I can turn off the water to the bed and let those dry out a little. Now when I do turn off the water to this bed, because this half of the bed still needs water, I will have to be hand watering. This is carrots in front here, more of our frontier onions right here, and a different variety of carrots on the other side. I cannot remember what we've got on there, but that is pretty much the garden space. So right here, we've kind of got a little bit of a mess. I am working on cleanup of all my seed starting trays. I have done all of my little 4-inch pots. That took almost an entire day to clean those all up. I do have a few videos on that, and I'll show those right here. But I do have the big trays to do, and then my seed starting trays that I need to clean up still. So I will probably be working on that this afternoon.
I'm going to interject here for a second so I can show you how I reuse my plant tags. I'm using a shop towel, which is a little thicker than a paper towel, and 91% isopropyl alcohol. Just rubbing that between those two layers, it comes off very easily because I just use Sharpie marker, and then I can reuse those from year to year.
But as we walk this way, you'll see that the flowers that are up on the deck here of the shed are doing quite well. These are all on drip irrigation. And so they get water every single day, twice a day. They are watered with the garden. And at first I thought that might be a little bit too much water for them, but they are doing quite well. If you pan back in that corner over there, there are definitely some benefits to having drip irrigation. You do not have to worry about plants getting top watered. And that, because we have hard water, leaves a lot of water spots on plants. So I really appreciate them being watered from the bottom. That is such a great thing. I would love to be able to put everything onto drip irrigation. As we walk this way, you're going to see these painted daisies right here need to be cut back. We're going to get quite a bit of shadow, I think, here this morning. But they're done. I've got a couple of them that still have a little bit of life to them. But I'm going to go ahead and cut these painted daisies back today. We've got our 9 barks in here. Most of them are done blooming. I do have a 9 bark on the other side that still has some blooms, and of course there's a few in the shade here that still have a few, but I love what is left when they're done blooming. Those are just beautiful little rosette type flowers. I just love them. They look like dried flowers. Anyway, these are the 9 barks right here. I've got a couple different varieties. I believe this is a tiny wine, and these are Amber Jubilee, these large ones. As we walk this way, you're going to see we've got some Russian sage right here. It's already starting to get some of its bloom stalks coming up, so we'll probably have some blooms on that within the next month. Down here, you're going to see I've got a couple of cabbage in here. These are some leftover red Omero cabbage. They're doing well over here. They don't get as much sun as they probably should. As we pan into the front here, you're going to see I have a great big hole here. This is where another one of these lemon gem marigolds was sitting. And I came out here one morning and the entire plant looked like it was dying. I went to investigate it, and the entire plant was cut off at the root. And I'm not sure exactly what happened. We do have a neighborhood cat that I'm wondering if the cat got into the yard and stepped on it. I don't know. But I do have a lot of deadheading to do in here. These are our Queen Sophia marigolds. I did plant those all from seed. Very happy with that variety. Back here I've got all of my salvia still blooming. The Perfect Profusion, which is the light lavender purple in the back, it's going to be a little bit hard to see because it's kind of in the background. does need to be cut back already. Our Rocky Mountain penstemon is this purple flower right here. Again, a huge pollinator in the yard. We've had a lot of bees and butterflies on it this year. That one's doing well, but I do need to remember to stake it up next year. It is getting kind of wild. We've got our Shasta daisies up front here. You'll see those are budding up and they're just about ready to bloom. Those are going to be some beautiful Shastas this year. There's a lot of buds on there. This right here is our Supertunias. They're not doing as well as I would have liked them to. I'm wondering if they're not getting enough water. This is watered with an overhead spray, which I don't really like. We have plans to change it out to drip, but we just haven't done it yet. Another Russian sage right here. These are going to get huge, so as soon as they start getting bigger, they're going to crowd some of this other stuff. This is another tiny wine, ninebark, and it was a little later to bloom than the others on the other side. But still looking beautiful. I'm loving the layers back here in this area. Our red twig dogwood is loving life in the corner there. Just a lot of new growth. All that upward growth is new this year. We've also got some spirea right here. Those are getting ready to bloom. They're going to be a beautiful fuchsia color. We did add in this lamb's ear, and it is loving its spot as well. I see a lot of new growth right here, doing very well. And of course, oh man, I am so sick of the elm trees. If I had my way, I'd get rid of them, but I have one in my yard, but I also have neighbors that have them, and I can't get rid of those. So it's not going to make a whole lot of difference. It'll just take away my shade in my yard. These are our hydrangeas right here. These are our quickfire, I believe, hydrangeas. If I'm wrong on that, I will put that in the comments. We do have blooms coming on this one back here. I'm going to step up in here for a second. You can see this one is already starting to get some blooms. The one that's over here is slow to get blooms started. Looks like I've got one back here, and that's about it. So this one might just have a little different conditions. Oh, I have one down here. But we're waiting on those to bloom. As we come into this section right here, you'll see these arborvitae are still struggling. We've been giving them a lot of supplemental water, trying to see if that's the issue. But I'm just not sure they're getting enough sun. I think this section right here is pretty shaded by this tree above us, and it just does not get enough sun in the afternoon hours. We're getting sun right now, but later in the day it gets nothing. Everything over here looks really good. We've got the barberry here. There is a spirea in the back. That one did not bloom much this year, but it is a new plant in our yard. You'll see all this perennial salvia right here is blooming beautifully. Again, another big pollinator in our yard. A lot of the bees and butterflies love that plant. More elm seeds everywhere. This Jacob's ladder is done blooming. Right here we've got another Jacob's ladder. This one's a little behind, so it is starting to bloom. But that was a new one this year. Another perennial salvia here. This is the white one. And then back here I've got some daisies starting to bloom in this section. And my lavender is getting close. Very close to being ready. This baby's breath is done blooming. And then we're going to go ahead and pan up to the top section here. You'll see this spirea on the corner here. It is bloomed in 3 different stages. So I had the back side bloomed, then the front side. Now I'm on the right-hand side is blooming. And I need to go in and take those blooms out. You'll also see that I've got a couple of new plants right here. These are an astilbe. And the back 2 astilbe, I think they're dying. I have tried everything. I looked online and it looks like they're not getting enough water, but they're getting plenty of water. I've been watering them. They've been getting water from the sprinkler system. It's not water. I don't know what it is, but they're supposed to like the shade. And even though this is getting sun right now, the afternoon is very shaded in this section. So those Astilbe are not doing well. We did plant those this year. They were beautiful when we first planted them, but not doing well now. And if you look in the back, right in front of the bench, there is a Chantilly lace, Aruncus, and then all the rest of this is old plantings. These are all things that have been in the ground for several years. We do have a lot of hostas up there, and we have quite a few Brunnera and heucheras. So the heuchera right here with the purple, dark purple, is starting to bloom. You'll see that. And then in the very far back behind that bench, we have another variegated dogwood. So we're going to have a couple dogwoods up there. We're trying to fill that space in so it feels a little less like you can't see that corner quite so well, because the fences don't really line up well there. So we're going to come back around over here. You'll see that as we come into this section down here underneath the plum, I have a ton of green in here. That is all elm tree sprouts. I have been in this bed and spent an entire day cleaning those out the other day, and I need to do it again. They're just everywhere. As we come over into this section right here, you'll see another Russian sage, a lot of elm tree sprouts. I do have plans to change out the ground cover in this area. We are not real happy with the large bark, and we're going to change that out for a mini bark. I did do that on the upper section under the elm. And as you move into this section here, this is the barberry that I did have to cut back in half, and you'll see there is a definite difference. These two are the same age, same plant, and there is a definite difference in their size. Right here we've got that potentilla that we planted last year. It is doing fantastic. It's really loving its location. I love the blooms on it. We're right in front of the deck now, and this bed right here doesn't have any kind of irrigation in it. The only water it gets is from the lawn, which is sufficient for this, but again, we do get a little bit of hard water spotting on our plants. You'll see that. I don't know if we can get in there and get that close up, but we do get hard water spots on our plants in this bed because of that overspray. This bed's doing very well. I am having a little bit of trouble with the in-ground snowland daisies here. You'll see in a couple of my container situations, they're doing great, but in-ground, they're struggling just a little bit. I feel like this bed in particular has a little bit of issues with chlorosis. I may hit that up with a little bit of chelated iron to help with that a little. But you'll see these daylilies, these are the Celadora, are doing very well right here. I do have quite a bit of lower blooms this year, so I think next year I might be dividing those. I did transplant one of my Shasta daisies from the other bed back here, and it is blooming, doing very well, so that transplanted greatly. I do have a lot of deadheading to do, just keep that in mind. I have a perennial salvia right behind that daisy that needs to be sheared off already. It is pretty much done blooming. And that's basically everything in this bed. This is our sprinkler system box right here, and I need to take that cover off and repaint that. I usually paint it brown so that it kind of hides in that bed. We've got a couple of tomatoes right here. These are the sweetie tomatoes that are over in the garden. We have 4 total plants of those, and these get water from the sprinkler system, believe it or not. I do supplement on the day the sprinkler is not on, but doing well. I don't see any tomatoes yet forming. I've got one right here, but Those are doing great. As we pan over into this bed right here, this is under our spring snow crabapple. A bunch of this stuff in here is new this year. These are transplants from another bed in the garden. I did split up some dianthus and put 3 of those in this bed. They are all blooming and all took. This right here is another spirea. I am loving the blooms on this. And this is supposed to be a seedless, which means it should be blooming, I think, the entire summer. So we'll get those beautiful fuchsia blooms. More of my marigolds I started from seed. This right here is another Shasta daisy that was over in the other bed that I took out because they were dying over there. And I did split that up. They're taking. I'm getting a bloom off of it, so we'll see if they'll do anything. Got an extra kale in this bed. The window or the wagon basket right here is doing pretty well. You'll see that these supertunias right here, or no, these are super bells, are getting kind of swallowed up by the other plants in this planter. They don't like a lot of water, and so I'm thinking they might be getting too much water. Right now this is pretty wet in here, so they might be the wrong type of plant to put in that wagon. I'll have to check that at the end of the season and make adjustments next year. As we go to the back over here, you'll see that I've got another penstemon right here. That fuchsia colored penstemon is new this year, and it is almost done blooming, so I will be cutting those stalks back. And then on the very far, right next to the deck, I've got 3 echinacea. They've got some yellow blooms. They're doing very well. I was a little worried they might not be in a good location there because they don't get a ton of sun. And I think I am going to be putting this hosta right here. I've been waiting to see what the light conditions are, and it does get a little bit of morning sun and a tiny bit of afternoon sun, but I think it's going to be okay there. I'm probably going to put that in within the next couple days. As we come around, you'll see I've got all of my herbs right here. I've got rosemary, dill, oregano, thyme, and parsley. We are eating on those, but not fast enough. This is probably going to go to seed here soon, especially with our warm temperatures. Oh, nothing like fresh dill. These grow bags have exploded. I think one of my subscribers mentioned that the concrete and the bags themselves are probably promoting more heat, which is why these are just going crazy. I have tried to cut these back a little because they've got a lot of blooms on them, but no fruit yet. So we're just blooming. We'll see if we get any fruit out of this. We have pulled almost all of the lettuce out of these 2 grow bags. Those are pretty much done. There is a cabbage in the back on one and a kale on the other. Really hard to see in here. And then I've got basil in here and a green pepper over here, which I'm afraid is getting swallowed up by these marigolds. Down here I've got some hot peppers, and I do have some blooms on them, so we are going to get some hot peppers out of this. There's quite a few blooms on this one. No peppers yet, no fruit yet. And then as we come around over here, hopefully the sound of the fountain doesn't get too much. I've got this planter right here with that variegated ivy, the Plectranthus. That went crazy last year, so I'm going to have to watch that and maybe cut that back. I've got an Angelonia in the back here, and I was afraid this one was not going to get enough sun, but it's doing well. As we come around over here, you'll see I've got another tomato. Looks like I need to give it some water this morning. This one, I'm not sure what's going on with it. It dries out pretty quickly. I think the spot I've got it sitting in is not great. And these planters right here have exploded. 1 month of growth, and they look amazing. So we're right here in front of the patio area now, and you'll see that I've got some annual salvia in here along with some nepeta. This is doing very well together. I do love the two colors, the deeper purple and the lighter purple. We've got more of our Stella d'Oro daylilies right here, and I do have 3 new Shasta daisies in here. These are a little different than I was expecting. Their leaf structure is a little odd. I don't dislike it, but it's definitely not what I was expecting. I can't really tell when I need to cut them back. I know this one right here is definitely done, but that looks like a pretty fresh one. Everything in this bed is doing quite well. We did get the Dusty Millers in there, and then these sedum right here, I believe these are the autumn sedum, are about to start blooming. We do have still a few poppies back here that are blooming. And this right here, this orange flower, if I can find what it is, I never remember the name. We'll get that on the screen. Dianthus in here, and I'm going to step down. We are getting a little bit of a breeze, so hopefully that doesn't mess with the microphone too much. Our blanket flowers are coming in pretty nicely, and I'm actually getting some blooms on those, so we'll have some Gaillardia here pretty soon. All these lemon gem marigolds were started from seed, looking really good. They have kind of a funny odor to them. I kind of like it, but I kind of don't. It almost smells weedy to me. And then again, another perennial salvia over here that is getting close to being done, and I'll need to start cutting that back. I do have 3 of the annual salvia behind these 2 boxwoods. They're doing well. But that's everything in this section. Now we're going to pan out into this area right here. You'll see we have almost finished the patio here for the fire pit. It's looking really good. My husband's been working really hard on it. Thanks, honey. And he's got a pretty good pattern going here. If you have been watching the channel, you know that we had some issues with different dye lots and different pickups, and having different paver colors. So he had laid all of this and then had to tear it all out because it was kind of looking like a bullseye because of the way the colors were being put together. So he had to randomize it pretty heavily, and now he is on the outside edges where he's cutting to get a nice smooth line all the way around. We are eventually going to put some concrete against that, and then we will put our silicone sand or whatever the paver sand is that goes in between all of these pavers. Probably another couple of weeks before this project is done, but it is getting there, and it's nice and smooth and nice and flat, and we're pretty excited to have our first fire pit here. So as we pan over into this little bed in here, you'll see I've got some sunflowers. Those are the tall Pro-Cut Horizon, I believe is their name. And then I've got some Nepeta and some Echinacea over in the corner. Nepeta is almost done, so I'll be cutting that back. I have a bunch of branching sunflowers in the middle, and then some marigolds again, and then this entire section of zinnias. They are all starting to thrive. They really needed that heat. But yeah, and this right here is a zucchini. And yeah, that's just a male flower there. I've had a lot of male flowers, no females yet. So it's starting to take on some growth. It needed a little heat as well. But that is pretty much this section of the garden. Well, friends, I thought I would end this where we started the video this morning, and we did have a squirrel that wanted to join us for a couple seconds. I hope my husband got video of that because that was kind of cute. But that is going to do it for our garden tour for the month of July. I did want to get this done last week so that we had an exact one-year comparison between what our garden looks like now and what our garden looked like last year, because there is a very large difference in how our produce and our vegetables are looking. I had cabbage that was ready to harvest last year at this time, and I don't even have heads yet. They're trying to form heads. But yeah, things are pretty far behind. We have a lot more weeds this year, and I am definitely dealing with those issues from that elm tree. And that is all because of that extra moisture this year. We appreciate all the extra moisture, and we're very grateful for that, but it does come with its own problems. The other thing that I wanted you to see was that patio that is coming together for the fire pit area. That has been in the works for a long time, and it feels really good to be getting that to completion. We're hoping to have that done within the next month and be able to start using it. It has been quite the pain in the butt, and I'm sure my husband would be very happy to hire someone next time to do that work. But he is learning and doing a great job, and eventually we will have that space done, and it will feel a lot more complete back here. But I hope you've enjoyed this video and this tour of our yard. We'll be back at the end of the month, hopefully to harvest some garlic. And at that point, we just want to say thank you to all of our new subscribers. And if you have any questions or comments, please leave those in the comment section down below. If you haven't already subscribed to the channel, we would appreciate that. We love having new people join our community, and we hope you've liked this video. Give it a thumbs up if you have. We hope you're having a lovely day wherever you are, and we'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.